Hey guys, today I want to talk to you about 10 things I wish I knew when I first started producing. So I've been producing for about 6 years, but I've been songwriting since I was a teenager. I wanted to know what my music sounded like without the influence of another person's brain, that I decided to bite the bullet and fully just hunker down on learning how to produce my own music, everything. The drums, the keys, the bass, the vocals, the songwriting. And so I'm gonna tell you 10 things that I think would have been really helpful to know when I first started out producing. Okay, I wrote some notes so that I could be on top of it. First thing I wanna say is you don't need anything to start. Nothing. Do you have a computer? Great. There's probably some sort of stock program that the computer came preloaded with that you can get started with. For me, I've always been a Mac girly, so GarageBand is the free software that comes preloaded onto Macs. I know there is something similar for Windows computers. There's also lots of free apps that you can use on your cell phone to start producing. Number 2. Friends are everything. So many of the most important things that I've learned to this day in my production career have been taught to me through my friends and my personal relationships. In fact, the way that I got into producing was because I had a friend named Brian who encouraged me to learn how to use Logic to record my own vocals, because I had been a singer and a songwriter for a very long time and worked with a lot of producers, but I didn't have the skill set to record my own vocals. So I would be at the mercy of somebody to get me studio time, get me a beat or whatever. And so he was the first person who told me, you can absolutely do this. And if it wasn't for him, I honestly don't know where I would be today, because he put a cracked version of Logic on my computer and the rest is history. Again, you don't need any programs to pay for. There is cracked stuff out there. I can't believe I'm saying that. There is no barrier to entry, is my point here. Just because you don't have thousands of dollars for gear doesn't mean that you can't get started. Number 3. Create a learning structure. After I had gotten the Logic program put onto my computer and learned how to record vocals and do some simple processing on them, I realized that I was kind of at a dead end and that I was going to need to create a learning structure for me to progress my skills. What do I mean by learning structure? Well, for someone like me, I am not disciplined enough to go to YouTube University. Yes, there are things that I still to this day will look up on YouTube and integrate new things by being like, oh, how do I get this hi-hat pattern? And I'll search it into YouTube, and YouTube is amazing for that. It's also amazing for people that have the self-discipline to teach themselves a whole run of skills through just self-paced learning. I needed structure. So what I did was in 2019, I decided to go to Icon Collective, which is an online school for music production. They have an in-person program as well, but I couldn't afford that. So I actually worked 3 jobs to be able to pay for the online program, and it was really difficult. I'm not gonna lie. It was really hard. I also got married like on one of the school breaks, fully overextended, but I was just doing what I could to learn the skill set. And I knew that after a year and a half, I was gonna know how to do X, Y, and Z. And that's what happened. Instead of being like, I'm gonna self-teach on YouTube or free videos or whatever, but it would be 10 years and I wouldn't have gotten any further. Cause like, let's be real, I'm an ADD girly. And if I didn't write down these 10 things today, the video would never get done. Number 4, there are no rules, but there are guidelines. Something that would frustrate me when I went to school was I would ask my teachers, like, does this sound right? And what I meant by that was, does this sound standard? Like, is anything poking out that's offensive? I would have teachers that would be like,
there is no right or wrong, and it's however you feel, and it's artistic expression.
And that always really pissed me off, because what I was looking for was somebody to guide me and be like, standardly for pop music or for dance music or house music, this is kind of what's acceptable and what's done. And that is to say, like, learn a set of guidelines and then break them. A basic thing to know in production is, like, you don't put a reverb on your sub bass, right? That's just a general thing you don't do because it messes with the frequency spectrum. That's something to kind of what I mean by, like, learning what's acceptable. Of course, I'm sure somebody has utilized a reverb on a sub bass and made it sound amazing, but they either stumbled into it or they went about it intentionally, knowing the pitfalls to look for. Going to a structured learning environment like Icon is what allowed me to learn those things. I finally had a teacher there who really understood what I meant by what's acceptable, and he was not afraid to be like, this is usually how it's done, this is usually how it's done. That really helped me to create a steady, strong foundation for my production and then be able to do whatever I want outside of that. Number 5, don't wait, start today. Start now. Start today. I wasn't gonna make this video because usually I like to have infinity amount of hours to film and edit, but I'm in DJ school right now, and I'm going to that in 10 minutes. And I was like, you know what? I don't have 3 hours, but I have a half an hour and I'm gonna get this done. That's me telling myself, don't wait, start today. There's always going to be things going on in your life to prevent you from learning a new skill, transitioning to a different job, a different path. It feels way worse to look back on all the years that I didn't do stuff for myself than starting and stopping, or starting half-heartedly or going slow. So if anything I can recommend to you, it's just start now. Even when it feels scary, even when you're not confident, even when you're insecure, just start with something. Number 6, stock plugins are enough. Yes. Your DAW, your digital audio workstation, which is the program that you produce with, is going to come with stock plugins or stock effects to help you in your production. In the beginning, this is all you need. In fact, many people I know that are like Billboard charting producers, some of their favorite things to use in production are stock plugins. That's all you need in the beginning. Don't worry about spending money on fancy this, fancy that. You really just need a DAW, some headphones, and a good computer, and that's all you need to get started. Okay, this one might upset a few people. This is number 7. There are 3 kinds of producers. There's Ableton producers, Logic Pro producers, and FL Studio producers.
Yes, there's also Pro Tools, but I don't really count them because usually people use Pro Tools for recording, live engineering. I'm talking about production.
There is a beef among these 3 people. Some of us know how to use more than one, but usually people get pretty locked in and team Ableton, Logic, or FL Studio. I've also noticed that specific genres are more likely to use one over the other. Like Ableton, a lot of EDM producers use Ableton. A lot of hip hop producers use FL Studio because it has a really awesome drum interface. Yes, there are rule breakers, and I'm sure someone's gonna leave a comment disagreeing with me, but generally I've learned that there's 3 teams when it comes to production DAWs. Number 8, find your biggest talent and highlight it. In the beginning, when you first start producing, your skill set is going to be pretty bare. It's going to be pretty minimum. And so my suggestion to you is focus on the thing that you can do really well and highlight that in your production today. So for me, when I went to school at Icon, my talents were singing and songwriting, and I knew how to record my vocals. So for every assignment and everything I had to do in school, even if it didn't require it, I added vocals or I recorded vocals to the assignment. And that's because I knew it was going to elevate what I had there, because I was very rudimentary in my drum production, bass production. But I knew that a simple clean bass and simple clean drums with an established vocal pattern and lots of harmonies would sound way better than me trying to meet my production at the level of my singing and songwriting, because I knew they just weren't equal. I know where my strength lies, and I always try to elevate that and highlight that. And I think that's such a great thing to really focus on in the beginning. It will really elevate the quality of your production. Number 9, be consistent and try to work as often as possible. If you take 6 months off of production, you're gonna feel so rusty. And also I find the snowball effect of the longer that you're not working on it, it's the easier it is to stay away. Production is like, you know, writing music and singing and writing and producing songs. It's kind of like a muscle. It's always there once you know how. Like, I don't forget how to sing, but it is a muscle. This is like a whole thing with my diaphragm. And if I'm not in shape, I'm not going to be as good as possible. So be consistent with how often you are working on your skills and your writing and producing. If you can, set a goal for yourself. Be like, I'm gonna make 3 beats a week, or I'm gonna do 3 hours a week. And if that's too much, I'm gonna do a song a week. I'm gonna do an hour a week. There is no goal too small. You just need to be consistent and work as often as your schedule allows. Number 10, my final thing, never stop learning. Every producer that I respect is still on an active journey of education and sharpening their skills. A lot of the things that I learn these days are from connecting with those friends I told you about that are finding new plugins, or they're learning new chord progressions, or they're being exposed to a new artist or producer who's really inspiring them. It's never going to end. AI is not going away. That can be a bad thing, but it also can be a great thing for these tools. So just go with the flow, learn as much as you can. Don't ever quit learning. Stay curious and have fun with it. You have to have fun. Every now and then I get so bogged down with being so serious with my music that I have to just make something kooky. And that's basically what my TikTok account is. I used to joke when I graduated from Icon that I went to Icon and all I got was my TikTok account, which literally changed my life. So it's actually an awesome thing now. I hope that was helpful, you guys. And if there's any way that I can help or support or encourage you guys in your journey of production, just let me know down in the comments. All right, I hope this was helpful. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.